Welcome to another episode of Theological Pipe. News, culture, sports, politics, and everything else from a theological perspective.
It's all summed up in love.
What should I do? Tell me. God is good. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give me peace. Give me peace.
Put that in your theological pipe and smoke it.
Hey, welcome to a first on Theological Pipe, a mobile Theological Pipe episode. Thank you for joining, and if you're watching, I probably won't look at the camera that much. I got to look at the road. But if you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, click the like and subscribe button, the comment button. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or Google, click subscribe, man. Appreciate every one of you that listen. Wanted to get into a couple things. I had a bunch of other things to talk about. And again, wanted to do this now because I'm getting ready. I'm heading to church, and then maybe back later on tonight. Didn't know if I'd have a chance to do one, but the NBA just, postponed, boycotted, canceled their games for today. They'll play them again probably tomorrow, the next couple days. And you know what? More power to them, I guess. It's one of those things. The NBA is. And we talked about this a few podcasts ago. The NBA is the one sport league that has declining ratings over the past, for this season compared to the NHL and NBA or NHL and Major League Baseball, which their ratings are way up. And part of it, in my opinion, is the social justice stuff that they're involved in, and there's nothing wrong with justice. There's nothing wrong with wanting to right some wrongs in society. I think everyone is for that. I think the way that the NBA has gone about it is wrong. I think the fact that they give money to Black Lives Matter, which is a Marxist, anti-American organization, which we've discussed. You don't believe me? Go listen to their leaders. Go look at their website. And Black Lives Matter is part of the groups that are doing some of the rioting and the looting and the burning of businesses. So you have the NBA front and center supporting that organization, being all about social justice and change for people that need it. But then I think one of the biggest problems for them is not just that, but you couple that with their hypocrisy when it comes to China. And they play exhibition games in China, and they were told by China, don't speak out against our human rights abuses. And they said, yes, we won't do it. And they have slave labor building, making some of their products, and they don't say anything about it. Ask Steve Kerr or LeBron James or James Harden to criticize China. They won't do it. But we're going to boycott because of a guy getting shot in Wisconsin. I wish he wouldn't have gotten shot. Now, we're going to talk about that in a minute, about the video of him being shot and LeBron, cursing and saying we need change now. And so a question is, what kind of change? You say you demand change, but then nobody talks about specifics. I think that's a problem. But again, if the NBA wants to cancel a game or boycott a game to make a statement, that's great. But the statement needs to be, what do you want? What are your demands, in a sense? What change are you hoping to see, or are you just virtue signaling, making this case? And I keep, if you watch the video of the guy getting shot in Kenosha, I'm going to pretty much guarantee that the majority of people, including people in the NBA that are making these statements, are making them based upon the one video, the first video that came out from the shooting. And that was the one where you saw the guy walk around his car, and cops were telling him to stop. He got into the car, reached in, and then he was shot. And of course, it looks horrible. I mean, I don't want cops to shoot anybody ever. I mean, I wish there was a way that they didn't have to do that. But that's what happened. They shot him. And so, of course, it looks bad. And it's like, well, the guy was just going to his car. He was going to check on his kid. People were saying all these things. But they have no idea what he was trying to do. We have no clue what he was trying to do, but they make all these jumps in logic to justify, well, here it is, another black man being shot, even though statistically it's been borne out that cops aren't shooting blacks in an incredible number. In fact, more whites are shot. These statistics can be looked at until you're blue in the face, but it's a fact that cops are not shooting black people at a crazy rate. Again, I don't want any black person to get shot or white person, but more whites are shot than blacks. And if you get the argument, well, blacks are less percentage of the population, I get that, but they also commit a bigger percentage of the crimes, and then maybe that. So let's have those discussions, but let's not automatically jump to a conclusion that that guy was shot because of race. He was shot because he was going into his car. And some of the arguments I heard from people who watched that video is, why didn't the cops tackle him? Why didn't the cops just bring him down? There were 7 cops. Why didn't they try to subdue him? That proves to me that there's 2 videos for that shooting, and the other one is before he went around the car. The cops actually had him on the ground, and they were wrestling with him, trying to subdue him, and he got up, and that's when he started walking around the car. We also know that there was a 911 call about this guy. We also know that this guy had a record. We also know that this guy had a subpoena out for him. And we know that these are things that the cops went into this. They didn't just go in there blind. They knew that they were going for a 911 call, a guy that had a previous record, that had raped a 15-year-old girl, that had records for assault. Who knows if he's carrying a weapon? Who knows if they were fighting with him when he had a weapon? Who knows if he said, I'm going in my car to get the gun? We don't. The fact is, we don't know what happened, really. We just have the video, but if you watch both videos, they had tackled him, they had wrestled him to the ground, he had gotten up, he went around, he was ignoring their order, he reached into his car, and that's when they shot him. Again, I wish he wasn't shot. But what were the cops supposed to do? And there are people sharing other videos on social media of another interaction between cops, 2 cops and a guy that they pulled over on the side of the road, and they were struggling with him. They tased him a couple times. They were wrestling with him. They tased him again. He got up, went to his car, got in the front, just like this guy did, grabbed a gun. He actually was the passenger side. He went into the car, got a gun, and shot the cops. Pretty much the same scenario. Not exactly the same, but pretty close. So as a cop, I'm sure they're trained as, like, you got to understand, if someone is ignoring your order and reaching into a car, assume they're going for a gun. If you want to make a case that, hey, cops should never shoot somebody unless they see a gun first, okay, let's have that conversation. But to automatically jump that this is part of some racist, systemic thing that's going on is just wrong, because you don't have all the evidence. You don't have all the evidence, and that's a problem to me. And I think the NBA doing what they're doing, and other sports may join suit. Again, knock yourself out. But if we can't have a real conversation about real things that are happening, and just go off of our first initial thought of a video and not realize that there's 2 videos, and not have a discussion about what would you want the cops to do in this situation, I think it's disingenuous. And I think that's part of the reason that the NBA is suffering some of the issues they're suffering, is because of their lecturing of people, and because of their hypocrisy. So again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that this cancellation really brings some people to the table, and we have some conversations about how we want to change some things. But the answer is not abolish the police, which is what the NBA is advocating, because they support Black Lives Matter, who advocates abolishing the police. They say defund the police on their website, but if you go listen to them, to the people, the leaders who run the organization, on interviews over the past few months, they want to abolish the police. Well, what happens when you abolish the police? What happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin, when regular citizens say, enough is enough, I'm going to take my guns and I'm going to go and defend my places? You have an abdication of leadership. There's no adults in Wisconsin. There's no adults in Portland. There's no adults in the states. The governors and the mayors, they're not stepping up and doing what they're supposed to do, and allowing the police to do what they're supposed to do, which is defend people and stick up for people and wipe criminals off the street and get rid of them. Go put them in prison, and don't put them in jail and then let them go the next day or that day, which is what Portland does. You have people being tired of rioters and looters. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, those are the ones that are doing it. I know you can deny it, but they say that's who they are. That's who they are. And when you have them doing it, and people are getting tired of it, you have an abdication of leadership. And so you have the NBA supporting this group that supports abolishing the police. And then what happens? You have that kid that goes and shoots 3 people. He's a 17-year-old kid. They arrested him and they're charging him with first-degree murder, which I don't think will stand. And again, you have people commenting, people from the NBA, people from sports, people all over saying, oh my gosh, could you believe this 17-year-old white kid just murdering people for no reason? Again, it proves that they're not watching and getting the facts and getting the information first before making a statement. If you watch the videos, there's 2 videos out, and again, we need more information. I don't think it's a good idea for you to grab a gun, no matter how old you are. I don't think it's a good idea for you to grab a gun and travel somewhere to another town to go defend people. And I know this kid, there was videos of him, painting over graffiti, nice, and I'm sure he thought he was doing the right thing. And again, when mayors and governors aren't doing the right thing, we do know that the mayor of the town there and the governor said, we don't want the National Guard here. They had a few, and one of their Congress people said, hey, we can get more National Guard. We got it approved. And they said, we don't want them. People feel helpless. They're going to start taking up arms, and that's what this kid did. And there's video, and again, don't know all the facts. Maybe there's going to be more video come out, but it appears that 17-year-old kid, someone was rushing him and threw a Molotov cocktail at him, and he shot. And then he ran down the street. People were chasing him. He fell down. One guy kicked him. Another guy took his skateboard, started beating him. The guy that kicked him had a gun, and so the kid feared for his life and shot. And apparently killed 2 guys. I don't know which 2 guys were killed. I know one guy had part of his arm blown off. That was the guy with the gun. But again, I don't know I don't want people shooting people. But I'm also not going to sit here and call someone a racist or say that cops are racist or say that this is done because of this. I'm not going to boycott this or that. We need all the information and all the facts to come out, and people aren't waiting for that kind of stuff to come out, and it's kind of a shame for the NBA to do that. So again, NBA, cancel the games all you want. That's okay. I pray that, you get the change you're seeking, and I hope that things get better, and I hope you're willing to listen. But I think that, again, a lot of this saying, hey, we want to have a conversation. You don't want a conversation. You just want people to shut up and listen, and then when they shut up and listen or they try to say something, you say, don't say that. But then when they don't say nothing, you say, if you're silent, you're complicit. It's just a crazy time. And again, if adults had stepped up in the beginning of this, from the beginning, from the NBA and the NFL and the Major League Baseball, right now they still have an opportunity, in my opinion, to say, you know what, Black Lives Matter, we've looked into their organization. We don't like what they stand for. We're not anti-American. We don't want to defund the police or abolish the police. We don't want to destabilize the nuclear family. Hey, we think this organization, we hope that their goals of racial equality and, some of those goals, we're all for it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pool all our money. Instead of giving money to Black Lives Matter and to those groups, what we're going to do is make our own group, and it's going to be able to help people who are disadvantaged, people who are oppressed, people who are down and out, we're going to work with those groups. Hey, we're going to work with different organizations that we know have a pure a motive and aren't anti-American Marxist radicals, which is what Black Lives Matter is. Again, I know you may not like to hear that, but look up their website, look up their leaders, and look at what they're doing. We're not going to support that kind of stuff. And if leaders in states and cities would step up and say, you know what, the second a protest, someone breaks a window, the second someone burns a business, you're not protesters anymore. You're criminals, and we're going to treat you as such, right? And that's a problem. And again, when you don't step up and do the right thing, that's what happens. 17-year-old kids grab a gun and decide they're going to go help. And you don't want that. But again, defund the police, abolish the police, that's what you're going to have. You're going to have more of the same. Is that what you want? It may be what they want. I don't know what their end game is, but it's a shame to me. And another thing that was blowing my mind today was something Don Lemon had said yesterday. I think it was last night, it may have been this morning. But he was talking about the riots and what was going on. And he said, hey, y'all need to stop rioting because it's not polling well for Biden. And that he's just kind of he's a journalist, CNN is a news organization, and he was saying, listen, the polling is showing that the rioting and the burning and the looting and the killing and the murders and the assaults and all the stuff that you guys are doing in the name of Black Lives Matter, in the name of protests, and again, it's a mostly peaceful protest, what y'all are doing, it's not good. It's helping Donald Trump, and you need to stop. So he says that there was polling that they did. Apparently they do polling on riots, which blows my mind, and it's not looking good. It's helping Donald Trump. So Don Lemon comes out against it. And so what happens? The governor of Oregon, the mayor of Portland, the mayor of Kenosha, Joe Biden finally had a live statement. There's been some really milquetoast, weak statements by the campaign. But Biden has said nothing. Well, all of a sudden the polling shows, hey, this isn't good for the Democrats. It's actually helping Donald Trump, so we need to step up and denounce the riots. What a total lack of leadership again, Really? You need a poll to tell you to be against business destructions, businesses being destroyed? You need a poll to tell people that you don't need to kill people and set up your own zones and murder people and burn businesses and assault people and throw bricks at people and kick people in the head? And there was a business owner that was defending his business in Wisconsin. They knocked him out, and then we're sitting there talking about, yeah, he deserves it. We're just trying to get what's ours. And you need a poll to tell you we need to come out against this. That's the problem. If your sole reason for coming out against the riots was because it might cost votes one way or the other, you're an idiot. You're a moron. You're a leaderless, weak-kneed, unprincipled fool. They're riots. People are being shot. People are being assaulted. People are being kicked in the head and knocked cold. People are being sent to the hospital. Law enforcement people, 900 of them have been sent, have been hurt. And I mean, what are we doing here? And it takes a poll for you to step up and say we shouldn't do this? Who cares who's elected? Do the right thing. And that's what people need, is people to step up and do the right thing. And it just, like I said, just blows my mind that this all stuff is going on. So that was a huge rant that went in a whole bunch of different places. The NBA, it was about the NBA. They postponed some games. Again, more power to them. I think it's stupid. I think it's going to cost them more fans. It's already cost them more fans. There were, again, polls that we looked out that shows that their ratings are down this year. There were other polls that we saw, things that we saw that says their ratings are down like 40% over the past 5-10 years, and I think it's directly related to this kind of stuff. But again, I hope that changes. I don't want their ratings to be down. I love sports. I love basketball and baseball and hockey and football, and I want it all to be great and to come back in full swing. I want the economy to get rolling again. Again, COVID numbers are doing better. Let's look at the positives. And again, one of the things the NBA can do, they have such power to bring people together. They have such power to what they would, if they would come out and say, we're not only going to boycott the games this today or whatever the next couple days, we're going to take 1/10 of our salaries, all of us, and we're going to donate it to the businesses and to the people who have lost their businesses because of the riots. And then we're going to sit down with the president, oh my gosh, and we're going to sit down with Joe Biden, oh my gosh, and we're going to sit down with leaders, and we're going to sit down with mayors and governors, and we're going to try to figure out a way to change some things and to fix some things and to make things better. Let's do that together. They could do that, but instead they have to go out and make these statements. Doc Rivers makes this passionate, heartfelt speech based on nothing. He blamed Donald Trump and the Republicans for what's going on. I'm not saying that they don't have some share of the blame, but the cities that this stuff is happening in is Democrat-controlled cities. He could have made a heartfelt, really good statement that brought people together and made people aware of how people of color feel. But what did he do? He blamed the Republicans, blamed the Democrats. It's all their fault for what black people feel and Hispanic people feel and Indians feel. I mean, all these oppressed minorities. I mean, come on now. Stop dividing and let's bring people together and get some common sense solutions. And they're out there. There are solutions out there. It's just people aren't willing to talk about them because they don't get the points, the woke points. And again, the media and the sports media is liberal. You saw it. They instantly, it was an instant praise for Doc Rivers and what he said, even though what he said was really kind of silly. Instant praise for the NBA boycotting games without anyone questioning why, what's the end game, what are you going to do, how can we make this, if we're going to boycott, let's do something productive instead of just boycotting and saying, look at us, we're virtue signaling so well, aren't we? So, all right, that's the rant. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick is Jerry Falwell resigning from Liberty University. Thank goodness. I got my master's degree in theology from Liberty online. It's a good school. They're accredited. They have good programs. They actually have a pretty good sports department there. And I've always not liked Jerry Falwell. And not because he supported Donald Trump, which is why most people don't like him, because he was a Trump supporter. I don't mind that. You could be a Christian and be a Republican, and you could be a Christian and be a Democrat or independent. I don't care. That's not the point. And I said in a podcast before that as someone who's an American, if you're into politics, be into politics, support your party. But as a believer, as someone who believes in a God, who believes in a higher power, I think that's where your allegiance should be first. And I'm not saying his allegiance wasn't first to God. I don't know. I don't know the man. what always rubbed me the wrong way about Jerry Falwell was just his attitude. He seemed arrogant. He seemed selfish. He seemed to enjoy the spotlight. And as a Christian, I do have a problem with that. I don't think that there should be Christian superstars or Christian heroes, right? I think that the true Christian is a humble servant who always directs the spotlight back onto Jesus, back onto God. And it seemed like, again, I don't know him, and I'll pray for him. I pray that he, whatever he's dealing with, I pray the allegations will fall false, although I don't think he would have resigned if they are. But I think some of the stuff coming out is salacious and maybe rumors and stuff. But I pray for him. I pray for his family. I pray he's okay. I pray everything gets better for him. But I am glad he stepped down because, again, I just didn't like his give me a second. I didn't like his demeanor, his attitude. It was arrogant and boisterous and loud and brought attention to himself. And I don't think Christians should do that. I think that Christians should be humble and have a heart of a servant. And I think had he done that, maybe there would be some grace available to him right now. Again, I don't think there would be grace from the Democrats. They don't like him because he liked Trump, and that's why they're happy about this. But I do think that it's a shame because he's an evangelical Christian. People attacked him because he was a Trump supporter, and now because of his attitude, because of his arrogance, they're reveling in the fact that he fell from grace, and they're going to use it against Christians. I wish he would have been more humble. I wish he would have been more selfless. I wish he would have been more about, feeding the poor and helping the hungry and giving clothes to people who need it and visiting widows and going to prisons. I'm not saying he didn't do that, but that's not what he presented. For him, I just say pray for him. I hope he straightens things out. I hope he gets right with the Lord if he needs to get right with the Lord. But I think it's a shame. But I am, like I said, I don't get upset when arrogant superstar Christians maybe get a little attitude check. And so that's kind of where it was for me. So a couple things, like I said, I wanted to record this now because I'm about to head to church and then might be home late and might not have a chance, and wanted to talk about the NBA and Jerry Falwell. And again, I was all over the place. Again, my big takeaway for me, though, today was the polling thing. I'm glad Joe Biden, I'm glad the mayors and the governors are finally stepping up and doing what they're supposed to, and denouncing riots and denouncing what's going on. It's a shame to me that it took polls to do it. And it's a shame to me that Don Lemon would come and go on a national news network and say, hey, y'all need to stop rioting because of the polling. No, you need to stop rioting because it's rioting, right? So, I guess just think about that. Put that in your theological pipe and smoke it. If you're a Christian, don't be arrogant. Don't be condescending to people. Don't make it about you. I hope that's everyone's prayer as a believer. If you believe in a God, that you make it about God and not about you. And then for everything else, NBA, sports, riots, all this stuff going on, man, pray for healing for the nation, and pray for the media, because again, I think that the way they cover things influences a lot of things. And again, I just pray that we'd get together and come together and be nice to each other, which is how I end every podcast. Be nice. So just be nice to each other. Listen. Don't just speak. Listen. Wait for the facts. Let's wait for more facts about the shootings, both of them in Kenosha, and even when they come out, let's respond with kindness and love, and let's fix this together. We have to be in this together. So put that in your theological pipe and smoke it, and be nice, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
We're in a world of change. Millions of dollars are being spent every day on psychologists and psychiatrists by people who want to change their behavior, or on cosmetic surgery by people who want to change their looks. They want to think differently, look differently, act differently, and be different. They want to change. God says there's going to come a time when I'll overturn it. God can overturn your life also right now, if you would let him. He can change your life. He can make you different. Jesus said our problems come from within. Your problems are not without. It's not the environment of your home or the neighborhood you live in or any of those other things. The basic problem is in your heart. And it cannot be solved by these superficial remedies that we bring, like alcohol or drugs or something else. It's solved by a revolution that God brings. I will overturn it, he says. I will change you if you will let me. God said, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. If you today call upon the name of the Lord, you can be saved. You can be made over. God will overturn your life and change the direction in which you're going right now. God will cause a revolution. You pass from death to life.